And that one there had already split open a little bit, so I opened it further so you can see just how beautiful those are. They do taste as good as they look. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having a wonderful day. It is Sunday, October 12th here in South Georgia, and it's been a little while since we've done any figging around on one of our long videos, so figured we'd do that today. Today we're going to be talking about some of the best late producing figs in our orchard. Varieties that are still giving us figs or that are loaded up with figs that should ripen within the next month. So I think I've got 16 different varieties I'll show you on this video that are either giving us ripe figs right now or are loaded up and should be giving us more ripe figs pretty soon. And we're going to break these down into 3 categories. So our first category is going to be the strawberry flavored figs, or these figs with really intense berry flavor. Our second category is going to be just LSU fig varieties. And our last category, we're just going to call that the others. And for all these varieties or trees that I'm going to show you today, this is at least our second crop of figs off these trees. Some of these trees are on their 3rd or 4th crop of figs. Some of them on their 2nd crop of figs. Some varieties don't produce for us until the late summer, and then so the fall crop is the 2nd. Some varieties start producing for us in the early summer and then do it again in the midsummer, late summer, and then the fall. So some we get 4 crops of figs off of. Also important to mention, if you live somewhere where you were going to get your first frost, say within the next couple weeks, and you had trees loaded like some of the ones I'm going to show you today, those probably obviously wouldn't ripen. But we've still got another month and a half. We usually don't get our first frost to the end of November, so we've still got a decent amount of time for these figs to ripen. However, all of them probably won't have an opportunity to ripen because we'll start propagating trees for next year within the next couple weeks. So some of these figs we will get to enjoy. Some of them, unfortunately, will get stripped off those limbs as we start propagation. And I have to start propagation before these trees go dormant because we propagate so many trees. When you're doing 5,000 or more cuttings, you got to get started a little early, so we can't always wait until the trees go dormant. We have to start a little earlier and in the process sacrifice a few figs. But anyways, let's jump right into it and start walking around. I'll show you some of these great late producing fig varieties in our orchard. We'll start out with that first category, what we're calling the strawberry figs. So the first one on our list here is Harry's Crete. This is the only Harry's Crete tree I have in my orchard at the moment, and you can see just loaded up with figs here. Yes, these limbs have lost a lot of their leaves due to rust, but they're still loaded up with figs, and these figs are still ripening every day for us. So this one started producing in late summer for us, and since then it's just been continuously putting on new figs and ripening those that formed earlier. And almost all these strawberry flavored figs will have a green exterior and then that beautiful deep red interior. Sometimes it's a little lighter, sometimes it's a little darker. That can vary with ground moisture, but you can see just how pretty and jammy those Harry's Crete figs are there. Then second on our list, we've got strawberry Verte. I've actually got 2 of these trees in the orchard, so one right there and one right there. This larger one actually died back to the ground this past winter, but you can see it has rebounded nicely. So this variety is pretty similar to Harry's Crete, although the growth habit of the tree is a little different. But this one does start producing for us in late summer and then just continuously produces for us. You can see just loaded up with figs there that will ripen over the next month or so. And if we open up one of these, we can see the inside also looks very similar to that Harry's Crete there. Just an absolutely delicious strawberry fig. Next on our list is one that I don't know if it really needs to go in the strawberry category, but definitely a really, really good berry fig. So this is CDD Ciutat. I think that's how you pronounce that. And we can see this one here loaded up. We've got limbs hanging all over the place. This tree definitely needs pruning this year. Still a lot of figs here left to enjoy. And if we open up one of these smaller ones here, we can see the color on these isn't quite as bright red, not as much pronounced strawberry flavor in these, but a really, really high quality berry fig. The next on our list, we have the DSJG, or the Sen Jaume Gran. I think that's how you pronounce it. Now, this one isn't quite as loaded up as the others I showed you, but this is a younger tree as well. Doesn't have as much branching on it. Hasn't been in the ground as long. Still, considering all that, getting a lot of good figs off this tree this time of year. Now, these here do get a little larger than the Harry's Crete and Strawberry Verte that I showed you earlier, but the color on these at peak ripeness is pretty similar. Now, this one here isn't quite at peak ripeness. I didn't have one on the tree that was perfect. You can see it's starting to turn that red color, but it will get more, you know, deep red as it matures a little more. Still really delicious at this stage though. Then we have LSU Strawberry. Have two trees of this variety side by side, and you can see these things are absolutely loaded. This is a great fall producing fig variety. Got figs everywhere all over these limbs. And that one there had already split open a little bit, so I opened it further so you can see just how beautiful those are. They do taste as good as they look. And then the last one in our strawberry group that's giving us some really good fall production is Battaglia Green here. Now, this fig here was starting to split open, so I went ahead, opened it up further just so you can see how beautiful they are. Again, you see that green exterior and that bright red inside there. So jammy and good. Now let's move on to our second group, which is some of these LSU varieties that give us some really good fall production. Now, most of these start producing for us in the early summer, so now we're on our third or fourth crop. There is one of them that I'll show you in a minute. We're just on our second crop. So the first one in our LSU group would be Improved Celeste. So I've got 1, 2, 3 of these trees in the orchard, and all 3 of them are loaded up with fall figs that should be ripening over the next month. There are a few that we've been enjoying lately though, some early fall figs. Look at that one right there, just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful sugar fig. And so for us, Improved Celeste is the first variety to ripen in our orchard every year, but it also gives us a really nice fall crop as well. We do get kind of a midsummer and a late summer crop, not as significant as the early crop or the fall crop. So this is actually our 4th crop of figs on these trees here. Next in our LSU group would be LSU Scots Black, and in my opinion, of all the LSU varieties, I think this variety makes the prettiest fig tree. You can see these two side by side here. Just a beautiful fig tree. Branches well on its own. Branches even better if you prune it a little bit. So you can see there, we're getting a few to ripen right now, and then we've got a lot more coming, loaded up along the tips of those branches there, where we got some good new growth in the late summer. So a beautiful tree, a good late producer, and also probably one of the better tasting LSU varieties in my opinion. You can see that deep red color there. Really, really good figs here. And I told you earlier that one of the LSU varieties I'd be talking about today is only on its second crop of figs. This is it right here. So this is more of a late summer ripening variety, and then it continues doing well for us into the fall right up to our first frost. And the next variety in our LSU group is LSU Hollier, and we can see once again just loaded up on that tree there. Now these fall figs haven't started ripening for us yet, but they should pretty soon. This is also a fairly early producing variety for us, so now we're on our 3rd or 4th crop of these. And the next one on our list, kind of the same situation. This is LSU Everbearing. I've got 2 of these right here. These don't make huge figs, but this may be one of the most prolific growing varieties out of all the LSU varieties I have. It just grows so much in a given year. You can see those long limbs there. That tells us that we need to do some pruning here, but we're just loaded up with more figs on this tree, and then I think this tree right here may be even more loaded than that one. Lots of good figs left to enjoy here. And then the last one in our LSU group would be LSU Gold, probably one of the largest trees in my orchard right here. That one there was planted a few years afterwards, but it's catching up pretty quick. So this one doesn't do much for us during the heat of summer. It slows down a little bit, but once things cool off, we start getting a lot more figs on this tree right here. See, we're loaded up on that limb that's laying on the ground all over the place, starting to get new figs to form. So we should get to enjoy some of these massive honey figs again pretty soon. So we covered some of those strawberry figs that produce really well for us this time of year. Talked about some LSU varieties that do as well. Now this third group that we're calling the others, really good fall producing varieties, but they don't all kind of fit into a distinct category. So that's why we're just calling them the others. So the first one in this group would be this Atlanta variety, also known as unknown Atlanta, but we just call it Atlanta, some heirloom variety that was discovered in Atlanta. And this one has been loading up for a while. It was loaded up in late summer. We might be on our third or fourth crop with this variety here. We can see still getting a lot of figs forming here, and got some ripe ones on the tree right now too. So this is an exceptional variety in my opinion. You can see when you open them up, got a nice little peachy color right there. A lot of fruity notes when you eat one of these. Kind of hard to define because you're getting all these different fruity flavors. Really solid fig. The next one on our others list would be this Valle Negra variety here. Now this tree isn't that old. I think it's only about 2 years old, but it's giving us some really good fall production. Loaded up there with a lot of figs that have yet to ripen, and getting some ripe ones every week as well. So in my opinion, this is a sugar fig, but you've also got some kind of honey notes and other flavors in there as well. You can see that distinct kind of bell shape to these. Just a really solid variety this time of year. The next one on our others list is this Iraqi variety here, and I know I talk about this one a lot, but it just continues to impress me how it produces all warm season long, just continuously gives us ripe figs. And as we can see, loading up again here. Also got some beautiful ones that need picking there. And this one looks kind of similar to the Valle Negra on the inside. Lots of different flavors that you taste when you eat one of these as well. Sometimes they taste like bananas. Just depending on the ground moisture, they can taste a little different. They're always good. They just taste a little different sometimes depending on how much rain you're getting. And then the next to last one on our list would be Mary Lane, a really solid honey fig variety for us. It does require some pruning to get it to really start producing well. You can see once you encourage all that branching, just loaded up with figs there. Let's look at this smaller tree right here. Look at all those figs forming on that new growth there. So this is a honey fig, and it does tend to get those little black sugar spots on the outside as it ripens. But the inside is absolutely beautiful and tasty, so don't let the outside fool you. And then the last one on our list here is Golden Rainbow. So I've got two of these pretty young trees in our orchard, but they produce well for us so far, and I think this may be one of the prettiest honey figs that we have in our orchard. It does get some of those spots on them, not as much as other varieties. Just a beautiful fig. Pretty good size on these too. Now this one here isn't perfectly ripe yet, and I don't have any at that stage that I can show you at this point, but you can see there just how big these things get. So there you go, a list of 16 really good fig varieties that give you some really good fall production. And it's nice to have some of those fall producing fig trees because some varieties only produce in the early summer and then they're kind of done for the year. Take for instance brown turkey. It makes a lot of figs in the early summer. It may make a few here and there through the middle of summer and in the fall, but not near as many as I showed you that were on those other trees. And this time of year in the fall, our soil moisture tends to stay more constant, which means we usually get higher quality figs. When it's really hot outside and we get some heavy rains and it dries out quickly again, that soil moisture is oscillating a lot. Sometimes the figs can blow up too fast, and sometimes the quality can decrease a little bit. But this time of year, the figs taste phenomenal. So I hope you enjoyed that list there, and we'll have all those varieties restocked next spring, like I said, as we start our propagation efforts here in the next couple weeks. And if you've got some varieties on your property or in your orchard that produce really well this time of year, varieties that I didn't mention earlier, please do share those in the comments below. And if you have a few fig trees and you're struggling to get them to produce really well for us, watch this video right here. We'll go over some common reasons why your fig trees may not be producing as well as they should, things you can do to fix that. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.